Zehmari, Lost Storm. Firuze and Ayaz, two beautiful hearts, two family-bearing kids. The only trouble is to lay the paths of fate together with pure, immaculate love. They shoulder the burdens they have to carry with the power they receive from their love for each other. In all these challenges, they have given up hope for a tiny own future of their own until fate changed its mind and returned from its path. Ayaz remains at such a crossroads. At the center of Firuze's throne, he is forced to give up his life, dreams, his future. He'll hand it over to Lucifer, even if he doesn't want his heart. This sacrifice is for his mother. But Firuze's heart became petrified, which he left behind in pain and disappointment. He believed for the first and last time, and the gates of his heart are closed forever to believe. As soon as Firuze proves her father's innocence, she has to undergo an unforeseen test. He finds a man who broke his heart with Artan, whom his father would have to fight for his freedom. Kirgin Sisekler, Orphan Flowers. Feride is an idealist young officer who works in an orphanage. She tries to do her best to help the girls who live in orphanage. She tries to understand them and devotes her time to help them gain dignity. She considers these girls who are left behind by their parents as flowers in a garden. One day, a young girl named Ilul, who is 17 years old, comes to the orphanage. Ilul has a family consisting of a little sister, her mother and her stepfather. When she discloses the harassment of her stepfather, she finds herself in the orphanage. She expects that her mother would send her stepfather away, but her mother sacrifices her own daughter and let her go. Now, Ilul has to adapt her new life in the orphanage. Like Ilul, Faride also needs to start a new life because she discovers her fiancé's affair and leaves him behind. She moves into another house where she meets a young and handsome neighbor named Toprak. In this story, you will explore the difficult lives of young girls who live in the orphanage. Çukur, the Pit. Çukur, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods of Istanbul, is ruled by the Kokova family. Although they are closely related to crime, the family has its own rules. One of these rules is the prohibition of drugs. Drugs cannot be produced, used or sold in Çukur, but one of the upstarts is determined to break the ban. First he tries to negotiate with the Kokovas, but when his request is rejected, he attacks the neighborhood and the family with his power. Just as he thinks that he has put the family on their knees, something unpredicted comes up. Now the cards need to be dealt again. Yamak is a young man who has focused himself on living life the way he wants to. He is a man who doesn't think about tomorrow. One night he meets a beautiful young woman as wounded and dangerous as himself. Her name is Sena. Soon they fall in love and get married. While thinking that they would live happily ever after, Yamak's family that he believed he had left behind comes between them. As Sena follows Yamak and runs in the family, they are not aware that their lives will never be the same. Ask 101, Love 101. The story begins in today's Istanbul when a woman called Isek arrives at an old house. There she recalls the past and friends of her youth. Back in 1998, a group of young people studying in a school in Istanbul are at risk of expulsion because of their poor behavior. They are very different from their classmates, therefore very lonely. The headmaster and most of the teachers are against them, and only one called Bursu does her best to protect the youngsters. However, they find out that Bursu is getting relocated, which means that all of them will be expelled after her departure. In order to prevent this, the students unite and make a plan. They will make Burcu fall in love with another teacher Kemal so that she stays in Istanbul. According to law, after marriage, she will be able to choose a place of work by herself. They ask for help from Isek, an excellent student and a girl with a big heart. Soon she becomes a part of their company. This union helps the students change for the better, understand themselves, realize the importance of true friendship, find love and their own way in life. At the same time, their plan helps Bursu change her outlook on life and find true love with a new unsociable teacher called Kamal. Gunesh and Kizlari, Sunshine Girls. Gunesh is a 35-year-old literature teacher in Izmir with 3 kids. The girls, 17-year-old twins Nazli and Selin and their 2-year younger little sister Peri, lead a happy life in their own right. Haluk, a prominent businessman in Istanbul, wants to marry Gunesh. Gunesh wants to accept the offer, but there is a minor problem. Her daughters are not yet aware of Haluk's presence. Nazli's suspicion of her mother makes Gunesh and Haluk their relationship and emerge by pressing the marriage proposal. Nazli is against this marriage and will do everything to stop it. Selin thinks that this marriage is a great opportunity for both, for mother and herself. And the youngest Peri says she will be happy by making her mother happy. Despite all the problems that Nazli has left, Haluk has no intention of giving up from Gunesh. Haluk wants to invite Gunesh and her daughters to Istanbul in his home to introduce them to the family. The sudden marriage decision of Gunes and Haluk also reacts in Martoglu's family. Kalpatisi, heartbeat. Ilul is a rebellious young girl who has changed schools many times and teachers do not want to deal with her. Her father doesn't even have a tear when he takes her from the last school she was expelled and beat her. However, on that day, all their lives will change. He leaves her with a grandmother in Marmaris where she have a small hostel. Ali Asaf is not known why he came as a successful doctor from Istanbul to a countryside village to be a teacher. Yet it is an extraordinary entity that will once touch the lives of people and change everything. This will save Yulil from the edge and make her a successful surgeon. Two lovers, yes, no matter how much they deny, Ali and Yulil fell in love. He leaves and years later they meet again as the two doctors. This is the story of the challenge of life as a surgeon of a girl who has begun to succumb to life, nothing but anger. A man who will give her the courage at the same time. It's a guide that keeps your hand and you can do it. The person we want all of us to have in our lives with all our heart will always keep our hopes of our dreams like Yulil. Of course with love. Harkai. Miran Aslan Bey, the only heir to the Aslan Bey family, who came to Mardin Midyat as a businessman from Istanbul, will offer Nasu Sadoglu more than a partnership and wants his great-grandson Riyan as his wife. However, Midyat's most powerful head of family, Nasu, has different plans for Miran, who he calls a very good fortune, unaware of anything. He will give her granddaughter Riyan, but not the grandson he wants. Nasu is unaware of Miran's plans as he tries to convince Miran of his plan. While the agreement between the two men is eagerly expected by both families, the news will profoundly affect the lives of two young girls, Riyan and Yaren. From the first part of Harkai, he will witness a great test with love at first sight.